Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Scandal, Season 7, Episode 5, and the name of this episode is Adventures in Babysitting. Man, this was a really good episode, y'all, and that ending blew me the fuck away. Like, this was really good. Again, I apologize that this review is late. I've been under the weather last week, but I definitely got this one coming for you. And next, I'm going to do How to Get Away with Murder, so definitely check that one out as well. But again, I'm glad to be back, y'all, and sorry that I wasn't able to do my videos last week. But first, let me give out my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the current tragedy that happened in Texas. I'm still kind of blown away by hearing about this. I mean, it's getting to the point where, you're not even safe going to worship the Lord. And that's insane. And we're really living in insane times. And I really want to send out my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by those tragedies, by that tragedy in Texas, as well as the tragedy in Las Vegas, as well as everyone that was affected by the hurricanes, Harvey, Irma, Jose and Maria. If you could give any kind of a support or any kind of relief whatsoever to these situations, please do so, because we need to be there for our fellow man, because we're living in very, very, very hard times, and we definitely need to be supportive of each other. Alright, so this episode was pretty good, so let me get started. We actually see that Olivia has removed all of the bones from Rowan's laboratory. And she now knows that Rowan is the reason why Fitz is in DC. So she's taking everything from him, and she's like, "Why? Why do you keep on undermining me? Do you think I enjoy punishing you?" And he's like, and he tries to talk. She's like, "No, speaking to me is a privilege that you do not have." And I'm like, damn, Olivia. Like, she's just hardcore. And she's like, so she pretty much like, this is what you need to do. You need to take your big mouth ass over to Fitz, and you need to let Fitz know to take his ass home. So we see him pleading with Fitz that, Olivia is, I'm sorry I got you involved in this. And, I really thought that bringing you here was going to actually soften her, but it just made her even more harder and made her even more extreme. So you should just go back home. And we already see that Fitz kind of gave that look like, I was just already saying, Fitz ass ain't going to go home. He's going to find a way to do some shit, and this is exactly what he did. Next, we actually see that Millie's having pretty much like a sit-in with President Assad from, the Bishranian president, who has just been overthrown by a radical coup. And, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do as far as getting him back into power and also securing his safety and everything. So he definitely lets it known that, look, we actually, so pretty much, Millie's like, look, we're going to have to go to war, and that's the only way that we can actually overthrow this coup and actually put President Rashan back in power. And he immediately talks about his niece, and he says that, look, I need my niece to be safe, because that's one thing that he cherishes is his niece. And his niece is a student at Georgetown, or George Washington. Either one. She's at one of those schools. But, and we see that, we get a lot of her, and her name is Yasmin. So, pretty much now, Olivia has now made it Cyrus' job to get the Congress to get on board with going to war against Bashran, to reinstitute President Assad back in power. So pretty much, they decided, yeah, we're going to help you get your country back, and we're going to put Yasmin somewhere safe. They put Yasmin at QPA with Quinn and Charlie, and she's mad because she's like, they took all of her devices. They took her laptop, they took her phone, you know, she pretty much has no access, and she's just paranoid, like, you know, when am I going back to school? And they pretty much told her that, well, from the list of things, you're not going back. I think what's going to happen, we're going to try to figure out a way to get your uncle back to the shrine, and you're going to go with him. So she's not having it. She's getting pissed off. She's crying and all emotional. She kind of breaks down to Charlie. Charlie actually leaves her alone, and next thing you know, Yasmin ends up missing. And Quinn is mad as hell at Charlie for that. She's like, I could not believe you allowed her to get away. And he was saying that, look, she was emotional, she was crying, and she was sad, and I just left her alone thinking she wanted to be alone. It's like, you weren't supposed to leave her. You were supposed to keep an eye on her. So the moment that Charlie walked away, her ass snuck out. And then they end up finding her because Huck was able to track her down with the phone. We come to find out that Yasmin is a lesbian, and she left to find her lesbian lover. This girl, I think, name is Lillian. And you know, she was saying that, look, I know everything. I'm the only person that knows everything, and I don't talk to anybody. Her secret's safe with me, and all of that. The question is that true? And I'm gonna ask, and the reason why I'm bringing that up because of what happens at the end of this episode. So we see that going on, you know, at QPA with Yasmin. Yasmin is a lesbian, and she doesn't want to leave her girlfriend, but Quinn puts her foot down and was like, look, we're going to get to the bottom of this. So they eventually sent the girlfriend back and let Yasmin know, you need to stay your ass here, and, you know, at the end of the day, you know, and she pretty much has a conversation with her and lets her know that, look, I know you don't want to go back to the shrine, but look, you're going back with your uncle, and your uncle wants to do great things with his country. So you can be there by his side creating better things for women, because in the shrine, women don't have rights. Women are allowed to go, women are not allowed to have education, they're not allowed to have jobs or none of those things. And that's one of the main things, is that she was able to liberate herself as a woman being in the United States, and she doesn't want to go back to being treated docile. But then she said that you being by your uncle's side, you both can create a movement. You creating a movement for women, and him creating a movement for the nation, you know, for your entire nation. So that was interesting. But I'm gonna get back to them towards the end. So pretty much we see that, you know, Olivia and Jake, you know, are having a conversation, and pretty much, you know, they know about the coups, and it's actually 2 coups that have been formed against President Rashan, and that, you know, the whole idea is to kind of create a diversion where they'll fight off each other, which will diminish their power, and then they're able to put him back in for president. So they're definitely trying to go to war, and Jake is just giving them the intel of what to expect on the grounds. Then Olivia is feeling herself, is got her mojo going. She's about to go talk to Millie, and the next thing you know, she sees somebody coming out of the office. It's Fitz ass. Fitz decides to run and snitch and tell Millie everything about her reorganizing B613, about her killing, you know, Luna Vargas and all of that. But Olivia and Millie is mad as hell. She is pissed because she now realized that Olivia is running B613 again, and that she's been keeping stuff from her. It's mainly that she was the one who killed excuse me, that she's the one that killed Luna Vargas. But Olivia let her ass know, I did that to protect you. Luna Vargas wanted to be president. She killed her husband, and she was about to kill your ass. So I stopped her before she could. And she's pretty much like Olivia. So pretty much Millie's just like, enough. I'm over this shit. You better shut down B613, or I will not be so nice next time. Now get your ass out of here and give me my war. And I was like, oh damn, Millie. So this really pissed Olivia off, because now she realizes that Fitz has now become a cancer to her because she had her whole program completely run the way she wants it, and now Fitz is there disturbing what she's trying to do. Pretty much, typical Fitz. I mean, we all know that Fitz can be a brat, and he's pretty much showing how much of a brat he is. Because even though Rowan told his ass to go home, he's like, no, I'ma stay. And then we actually see that they kind of go back and forth, because then we see later on, as far as Olivia is concerned, we actually see that later on her and Fitz do kind of go at it with each other, and he was like, well, the thing is, the reason why I did this is because I wanted to give you your white hat back because somehow you lost it somewhere, and I was just giving it back to you. And Olivia kind of lets it be known, like, you actually think that Millie is the first president that I've had control over? She's like, fool, I've been doing this for years. I've ran your whole campaign, both of them. You wouldn't have even got into the White House if it wasn't for me. And begins to read him for filth. Like, you really think that someone like you can muster me? Like, trust me, every single move and everything that you've done, I am the reason why those things went down the way they did, and why certain decisions were made, because I was guiding everything you did, and you didn't even realize I was doing it. So she kind of let his ass know, but then he was like, well, you can get mad all you want to, but I'm not leaving. And she's like, what's going to take you to leave? And he said that when I actually see Olivia Pope, and when you find her, then maybe we can have a conversation. But until then, it is what it is. And then he kind of smiles because he knowing the way he got to her. Because we see that, Olivia has become this new monster, but there's still a glimpse of Olivia Pope still there, and that's who he's trying to get at. And then we actually see that she's still fooling around with Curtis Price. Curtis Price is the neoconservative that has his own show, where he likes to rip people apart. And pretty much what she's trying to do, what Olivia's trying to do is that she's trying to get President Rashawn on his show. And he's like, man, I'm not putting that, nuclear conservative asshole on my show. This guy who believes in, raping and pillaging women, and women doesn't deserve equal rights. What makes you think I want that piece of shit on my show? And Olivia begins to kind of manipulate the situation, and if anything, we see that Curtis is not all for Olivia's tactics. And he's like, look, I don't know what you think this is, but I'm not one of your minions. You're not going to tell me how to do my job. But then she says that, look, you either can get you an actual person, meaning the president, and this could actually change your career and change your trajectory altogether, or you can be the same typical asshole that just gets people on your show and you try to rip them apart with all of your logic and bullshit. So we actually see that he does interview President Rashawn, and he does bring up all of his statistics about, how the Bashanian government is evil towards women, and how it doesn't see women as equals and all of that. But then he said that, but then I looked into your personal history, and unbeknownst to people, you've actually donated a lot of charity to women who are in domestic violence, and you've actually helped women who were trying to get away from their husbands and things like that. So we actually see that, it is a worthwhile interview, and it actually showcases President Rashawn in a different light. We also see that him and Millie are getting close, even close to the point that him and Millie make out, and Millie stopped herself because she's like, look, I'm the first lady, and Olivia's kind of playing in the back of her head that no, you're not going to be like the rest of the men who ran this office, who pretty much who couldn't control things from the waist down. She's like, you're going to control your lady bitch. And we see they was lip locking and everything. After they was drinking some moonshine, they was lip locking, and she backed away from him. But she said that, look, I do care about you, and I'm worried about you. But then he kind of let her know that, look, this is not your fight. I need to go back and deal with my people. Me staying here is making it worse. I need to go back to my people. And she's like, yes, but you need to enter safely. I don't want anything to happen to you. So we see that she actually arranges a ride for President Rashad and his niece Yasmin. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna get to that. But first, let me talk about Cyrus. Cyrus is, hanging out with I think his name is Brenton. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But he's that rich millionaire guy that he met at the nuclear summit that they had when President Rashad was first brought to the White House. And they've obviously been, and if anything, we saw in the last episode that he told him that he would train him on politics. So he comes in there, all G like, yeah, I'm about to see you, at work. And we remember that Olivia told Cyrus that his job was to get the Congress on board with going to war. So all of these different Congress people he's meeting, shaking hands, laying out the trajectory, while Brenton is like literally sitting there on his phone, and he's thinking that he's just like playing a video game or just texting or probably on Instagram, So it's starting to make Cyrus mad because he's thinking, here I am working and you on your little phone just acting all into what you're doing. And we see that after a while, Cyrus just can't contain his anger for nothing. Cyrus is like a cannonball. Eventually, the bomb's gonna go off, and the bomb went off with Cyrus. Because Cyrus was like, "You mean to tell me I've been here doing my work, and you're supposed to be in here watching what I'm doing, and all you've been doing is playing on a little damn toy? If you're gonna be on a damn toy, take your ass home." And he's like, "No, I'm not on a toy. I'm actually working on this. I'm actually working on this thing where it actually, it's kind of like a ratio, and it kind of lets you know whether, he says I use it for business, to kind of let me know whether I should invest in a product or pull out of a product." And he was like, "Oh, so you were working?" He's like, "Yes, I've been working, and I also put in questions about going to war with Bashan, and I'm letting you know it's a bad deal." And it's a bad product. So going to war is bad. It's not going to work out. And he lets them know that, look, one thing that customers don't want is for you to sell them a product that's bad. Because if you sell them a product that's bad, they will probably never buy. They will never buy from you ever again. Now, this war is a bad product, and if you go along with this, you may never get the American people back. So he kind of puts that in his mind, and we actually see that this actually brings this actually brings Brenton closer, and we see later on that they kind of embrace each other and they kind of make out, and I was like, I got my eye on that one because, yeah, I like Brenton, because he's definitely a different kind of guy than Cyrus is normally used to, but the question is does Brenton have good intentions? And I think in time we're going to find that out. I mean, if anything, everybody's up for speculation until they reveal their cards. So, and then we actually see that Cyrus goes to Olivia and he lets it be known that, look, I'm not going to war. And, it's split 50-50, so there's no war. And Olivia's like, you tend to forget that, I can be one of the worst enemies that you ever met. So pissing me off right now will not work out in your favor. And he blatantly lets her know that, look, you've known me for a long time. Yeah, we may not always see eye to eye, but I at least consider you a friend. And no one can govern everything by themselves, Olivia. So this war is not good for America. It's not good for me. And it's not good for you either. And me being your friend, I'm going to tell you what needs to be done. So I was like, okay, Cyrus stood up to her, and I was glad that he did. And then we see that, later on we saw him and Brenton, and, they make out, and he's saying that, I really think, because, Brenton was like, you know what, maybe you're right about me. I'm too much of an asshole. I say how I feel, and I say what I mean and mean what I say. Maybe I'm not great for politics. But then Cyrus was like, no, I think you're perfect for politics. because we need politicians who's going to tell it like it is and speak, speak the truth versus always trying to say what people want to hear. So I thought that little connection was good, but then again, the jury's still out on Brenton. Like, is he really with Cyrus for good intentions, or does he have an agenda? As I said, everybody's off of speculation. So then we also see that there was a scene where Fitz, met up with Jake, trying to break Jake down, but Jake wasn't moving. Because Jake like, bruh, you're not cool. You're not coming at me with this bullshit. So what do you think? You thought you can come here and try to go back to yesteryear when you and Olivia were this couple, and that you can just come back and just break everything down? Like, the problem is, you're still living in a fantasy, and you don't want to see her for who she is. And Fitz was like, who is she? And Jake said, Command. And walked off, because he was really trying it, because he knew, he probably kind of figured that her and Jake, that Olivia and Jake were messing around once he left. He probably figured that, because she was always number two. And we know that Fitz is a jealous bastard, so he's definitely trying to poke, information out of Jake, but Jake didn't budge, not one bit. So now I'm gonna talk about the ending. The ending, pretty much Millie and Olivia talked, and they had a conversation, and Olivia apologized for keeping stuff from her, and she says it will never happen again. Right now it's you and me. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And she's pretty much talking about President Bushran, and, he wants to leave, but I know if he goes on his own, they're going to kill him. So we need to kind of develop a different strategy for him where, where we can get him into Turkey, and therefore from Turkey he can get into his country, and he'll be able to get home safe. And pretty much Olivia's like, so what are you asking me to do? Millie was like, I'm not asking anything. I'm the president. I was like, okay, I see the power coming out of you, Millie. Millie's like, make it happen. And she says, okay. She's like, whatever you say, Madam President. So we see Olivia sets that up. Quinn and Charlie and they pretty much bring President Rashawn to his private plane, and they also bring Yasmin, and Yasmin and Quinn have a moment where she says that, look, you're going to do great things for your country, and I'm really proud of you, and be strong, and go there and make positive change, because you're a great person, and I know I'm going to hear great things from you. Had a great sentimental moment. So we see that President Rashana got on the plane. Yasmin gets on the plane. Charlie and Quinn have a moment, because throughout the episode she was mad as hell at him and was giving him the blues, but they finally come together. They're seeing the plane about to take off, and the next thing you know, boom! The damn plane exploded, and I was like, holy shit. So now some of those terrorists are actually on American soil, and it made me think that too, because remember at the nuclear summit, there was an agent there that was about to kill President Rashawn in the damn White House, and so happened. Somebody planted a bomb on the plane, and the damn plane exploded before it took off. And both Quinn and Charlie was there and saw it. So I was like, wow, this is going to be crazy when the next episode comes around, because I'm like, wow, that was crazy as hell. But yeah, that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I've started a GoFundMe account. You can find that link in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Scandal. So until then, everybody. I trouble with my words so much. It's bad. I'm trying to stop. But until then, everybody, take care.